golongtd.com, humanizing pro football journalism.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dallas Clark. Man, it is a joy and a pleasure and an honor, as always, to be here talking with one of the greatest tight ends in NFL history. Dallas,
long overdue, Tyler. I apologize. That's on all the viewers understand that Tyler's not he didn't big time me. I did not. I did not big. I don't think it's a big time. It was just our schedules did not coexist. It was trying to keep us down. They're trying to keep the machine was trying to keep us down. I don't know who the machine is, but we prevailed. This is happening. So this is I'm so excited, man. I've read some of your articles throughout the season. Love your perspective. Love a little heavy East Coast, a little East Coast heavy on favoritism.
Yeah, we got to work on that.
Yeah, we all have problems. We all have issues. That might be yours. We'll see if we could rectify that one today.
Well, you know what? I did do a radio spot with Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, yesterday, and I said, you know what? I got to ramp up the Colts coverage. And I said that we were talking, and he was beaming. Time to tap into these Indianapolis Colts. So we'll get to the middle of the country. I mean, you're a flyover state. What are you going to do? You know,
well, make sure when you go there, I'll meet you there, and I will give you the Midwest hospitality that people either probably usually freaks out the East Coast, because they always think there's an agenda. They're like, wait a minute, why are you being nice? Like, what's the catch? It's like, that's just who we are. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
But you are talking to somebody who grew up, an hour south of Buffalo. Our driveway was a mile long, and I think we graduated 45 kids at Ellicottville Central. So not exactly a big city here.
But you're shaded by. I mean, that's amazing. That's awesome. That's the way to.
No Livermore. How many did you have?
And I think that's the only way to do it, right? I think that's what made you and I awesome. I think that's why we have a little more sprinkle of awesomeness than the city folk. That, I mean, could you imagine not knowing your whole graduating class? Like, that would be so weird. Like seeing people walk across the stage at graduation, like, who the heck is that person? That would
honestly
be weird.
For a little background for those listening, watching, me and Dallas first connected for the book right behind me, The Blood and Guts, How Tight Ends Save Football. And man, I'm just so fortunate that we were able to connect for that, because you good?
Yeah, I'm good. It looked like it froze for a little bit. I thought I was panicking here.
I swear we talked for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours in total. And at one point you're in your truck, coffee in one hand, water in the other, spilling your guts. I mean, Dallas Clark here ran the full gamut of emotions for Blood and Guts. I was, so grateful that you were willing to kind of go down some darker roads and relive some great memories too. And really, you cannot tell the story of the tight end position. Hell, you can't tell the story of football without hearing where Dallas Clark has come from. It blows my mind. I was just kind of rereading some parts there, Dallas. We'll get into a few of the old stories, but I mean, you had no business being in the NFL. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, right. I mean, that statement is so true. Someone left the back door open for 1 second, and I stumbled in it. So it worked out pretty good.
You didn't stumble in. That's the thing, though. I mean, you earned every inch. I think that's probably a good place to start. I mean, walk-on life there in Iowa it really puts Rudy to shame. I mean, you were living it, man. Like you're checking out socks. They're treating you like hell. They're giving you a number. You've got like 3 digits on your equipment, right? You don't even really have a number yet.
Yeah, like 117. It was. Yeah, it is. To all you walk-ons listening, former, current, feel ya, love ya. I mean, it is, you're doing it because you truly love the game of football. And that's where, that I think that's where it starts. Like to pull that off, you have to love the game. And and it exposes you if you don't, because if you don't, you're done. Like it'll chew you up and spit you out and not even give a second thought. And so that's that's the first thing you learn. And then the next thing you learn is brotherhood, like the what the team provides, like where you feel like where you belong, like you feel accepted, and then to earn that respect, to be in a room full of everyone has their story, everyone has their status, and to just like, okay, I am at the bottom. Like if I could get a compliment from this person or this coach, like this, so that if we can just kind of dilute it down to let's work our ass off and let's just get recognized in the weight room. Let's get recognized training. Let's get recognized at practice. Let's get and then you just start putting those little bricks together, and you just don't know. You just never know what's going to happen. And a crap ton has to go, like your head coach looking at you go, you're not a very good linebacker. Why don't you try this tight end position? And and then me being an idiot and resisting it, and then finally giving in and going, all right, fine, you win. Let's try it. And then boom. I mean, talk about feeling at home.
The survival element to walk on life, though, was so fascinating to me. I mean, you're just trying to get by and make enough money to eat. And we're not talking, even Chick-fil-A or fast food. I think you had like Grand's biscuits, right? That was your go-to.
And Bush baked beans, baby. Like that was, I mean, you put butter on a whole tube of, the 8 biscuits that you get, and then you put butter on that, and then you just smother it like gravy with the Bush baked beans. I mean, for about $5, $6, you got, I mean, we're putting fuel back into the machine. And by the way, I had to go do, heat up the oven, now the adult dad of me can appreciate this version of coming home. I came home from a hard day at work, and I have to make my own supper. And I was doing that at 18, 19 years old. And so, so you appreciate, you have all your roommates, they're all scholarship kids. They're coming back with loaves of bread and cartons of milk that they get to take home with them after they had a freaking 5-course meal. And I'm just scarfing down. And you know what? I loved every bean. I loved every biscuit. I mean, I wouldn't trade it, Tyler. I wouldn't trade it. Not in a minute. Not in a minute.
Well, a couple hours ago, I put Sonny down for his nap, and he was pretty unhappy with the pre-nap snack. He didn't like the crackers. He wanted something a little more savory. So I'm going to let him know. I know he's only 2 years old, but the next nap, I'm going to say Dallas Clark. He's scarfing down Grand's biscuits and baked beans. So no more excuses.
Tell Sonny, it'll just make you tougher, bud. It'll make you tougher.
Sonny's looking like a 3-4 nose tackle right now. We got to get him on that Chris Doyle, Iowa training regimen. Although he beat guys up, that's right. So maybe he's good to go.
Hey, don't deny him his dream, man. Don't try to be that dad. Oh, he's a receiver. He's 300. No, he's a quarterback. Like, okay, no. God already made his position.
he does like dancing to Zach Bryan's Revival every night. So I figure, we keep working that training routine. We'll be good.
I mean, can you Hey Driver? I mean, can that song get any? I mean, that's a jammer. I mean, that whole freaking album, like you just push play. I cannot. My goal this summer is to go. He's coming to Des Moines. I'm taking the kids. We gotta that guy. Take me down a road that's a little bit winding. Oh golly, it's strong. That dude. Yeah.
The best. If she wants a cowboy, hilarious song. Oh, it's great. Ella loves that one. The auto tune at the end. It's so smart.
It's awesome. It is so good. It's so good. I love that. And I'm a music lover too, Tyler. And that is the coolest thing, is like share that with your kids. Like show them, you gotta sprinkle a little old school. You gotta show them what we grew up with. And then, I coming home from practice yesterday, a gal in Dane's in 8th grade, one of his classmates, she had a Nirvana sweatshirt on. And I'm like, do you know one song in Nirvana? She's like, no, I just like the colors. I'm like, okay. I go, you got to go home and you got to listen to Teen Spirit, Come As You Are, obviously the hits, you got just listen to those 2 songs so you at least know, right? And so coming home, I was telling the boys about who's a hero, like you want to talk about a guy who has overcome Dave Grohl, and I told him about the history of Nirvana, like losing their lead singer, and now they he started his own band, recovered, got back on the horse, freaking dominated, loses drummer Taylor, and coming back out, this guy, he's writing his story, like he has every reason to quit, all that, like inspiration, like just love that dude. I don't know him from Adam, but like talk about like fierce.
I mean, that's the perfect segue though, because that is your life. That is your football story. I mean, start wherever you want to start. And I, again, hope everybody, I'm not just saying this because I want to sell books, like read Dallas Clark's story in Blood and Guts. I think you'll come away inspired. I told my wife, Gina, right after we talked for it, I said, I feel like a better person just having talked to Dallas Clark. I mean, this guy's unbelievable.
You're sweet. You're sweet.
You obviously in high school, an unbelievably traumatic, tragic moment. Your mother passes away in your arms. You get to Iowa. You're a walk-on. You're a 7-string linebacker. Just to eat that grand biscuit. I mean, you're selling the campus newspaper. You're being a test dummy for psychology students. I think you did some work with dentistry students because you might get some free cleanings.
Yeah, I got a free filling by some student. I hope they're doing I hope they're crushing it out there in the dentistry world. And still in there, so they did a great job. They passed on me, so
that's great.
The only, I think I told you, like the only thing I didn't do was plasma. Like that was the only thing that I didn't, and that was like an easy,
the easiest.
I don't know why I didn't do it, but it just scared the hell out of me. I'm like what do they do? Like what's plasma? Like I don't, I did. I was a little sus, as the kids would say these days, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna stay away from that. I'll come in and pick A, B on your psych test, on your experimental human breakdown of tendencies and all that, and be your little guinea pig. But plasma, whoa, I have a standard.
You're like Charlie Kelly. It's like you'll ingest anything, but that's where you'll draw the line.
Gotta draw the line. No, yeah.
But number one though, Larry Putney, right? Working on the fields, Kinnick Stadium, all the fields at Iowa. You're mowing.
Yeah.
$7 an hour that summer, waking up at 6 a.m. What I want to let you tell the stories, because one in particular just cracked me up. But what was that really like, working for Legend Larry?
Legend. I love that you remember. He was a legend. Like this guy was, he was a grouchy old man, and he would spend his days like coming and making sure, just yell at us. And Ryan was my other guy. My teammates, it's just him and I, and he would just dog cuss us, because we couldn't do anything right, and we probably couldn't, so I mean, it's not Larry's fault, but we'd always like make fun. It's like, geez, Legend, you spent a little too much time at the VFW last night, and hey, don't tell me what I do, just would get all owly. But yeah, I mean, we'd mow, I'd mow Kinnick Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. and every morning, and it was like, it was really and at that point, right, like it's, playing there is a dream. Like it's, I'm not, I'm not anything. And, so it's just like that place is like, it's, I mean, at 6 o'clock in the morning, dew, sun, peeking up, and I mean, quiet. Like it's like, that's where I bonded with that stadium, and made that place home, and but a great story. And I so I can fall asleep like that. Like I have no problem falling asleep, and apparently I can fall asleep on a lawnmower. And so along the edges, there's these big pads that protect the cement walls of Kinnick Stadium. Kinnick, if you don't know, very tight quarters. Like the sideline, there's like no room. I mean, this stadium is 1920, whatever it was built. I mean, just legendary stadium. And if you're a fan of football, go watch a game at Kinnick. It's special. And so I'm mowing along the edge, and it's the same thing. It's like, gosh, I'm gonna weed eat in 10 minutes. So like, but like, do I really need to get that close? But when you're 18 years old, you don't think that stuff. I can get closer. And so I'm going along, and watching the edge, and I kid you not, I doze off, and I put a rip in the mat about a foot long, and it's right by the door when you come down. It's right by the tunnel. I'm like, oh crap. And so I got a little scared, and I look across, and it has a 1 on it because it's for the 10-yard line. I look way across 110 yards, kitty corner. I grabbed this thing. I mean, it weighed, I don't know how much it weighed, but I carried this thing all the way across the field, switched it out, and it bought me about 2 weeks before Larry found it. And Larry wasn't very happy. He's like, what are you doing? And so, but no, it was a phenomenal job. And it was a working job. That's kind of what I appreciate. But yeah, a lot of great people at that university, man.
I think you said it was 8 feet long and weighed 150 pounds, and you had to drag it across the entire field. So you're taking breaks to kind of catch your breath.
Dude, and you just know, it's like, gosh, he's coming. And so you just feel like it's like you against time. And granted, like, yes, I know people are out there like, well, that sounds foolish. Why don't you just tell them? I'm like, yeah, could have. But I was kind of in the world of like, I can't make mistakes. So, I can't get my, I was like, oh, shoot. Do I get fired for this? Like what, paycheck, what does this work? And, how does this work? And so, but that thing it was like carrying a dead body. Not that I know that, but it was just like, I mean, this thing was so heavy, so awkward. And oh my God, your heart's just racing. It was entertaining.
I love how you put it. You said, quote, I was like a mouse when you lift a bale of hay and the mouse says, oh, the whole world can see me. I'm carrying this across Kinnick Stadium at 6 a.m. But in my head, I feel like there's 71,000 there. I'm just panting nervously. You're scurrying across like you're trying to find another bale to hide under. I needed that job. Oh man. Awesome. So just getting by, hoping maybe, possibly, potentially you get a special team snap, right? Like just dying for an opportunity at this point.
I mean, it's and obviously everyone's a lot of familiar with Rudy, and like I mean, you could just show me that last 10 minutes of him getting that snap, and then they snap to the family, and they and we all have those dynamics, right? Like you have that brother that thinks he's wasting. And I'm not comparing these, but like it's just in general. I guarantee you, there's people out there that thought, you're walking on Iowa, yeah, good luck, kid. You have that person that, hey, you got this, and maybe deep down inside they're like, no, you don't, but how good it felt to hear that, or that person that, oh, anyone can do it, name it, they're out there. And I guarantee you they're even more out there these days because our attitudes towards things that are good, it just feels like there's just a mob of people that just want to tear down good, and so all those people out there that are fighting for something good, freaking don't listen to it. Keep fighting, keep chasing your dreams, and keep getting after it. And that's what it was. And so like when they show in the movie Rudy getting that 1-2 snaps, and and like I mean, that's all I wanted. Like, that's all I wanted. Like, that's what I was doing it for. Like, that's like, I can relate with that. Like, that was the goal. That was the 5-year plan, was to just to get on the field and to be able to look around and say, I freaking did it. Right. And yeah. And so I got a little more than I expected.
I mean, it's so true. I'm thinking back. I mean, there were so many Rudy moments. I mean, this is real life where weren't like the equipment managers. I mean, you're asking for stuff and they're kind of looking at you almost like you're barely human. Like, oh, you disgust me. You need this pair of socks, really? What are you doing to deserve this pair of socks?
Yeah. And Greg is still there, and I love Greg. And Greg and Dick, they were the equipment guys. Dick passed away quite a few years ago, but just and they were, and here's the thing: it takes one guy to ruin it for all of us. So I am pretty sure there's probably a walk-on that was probably taking advantage of the system and trying to be like, hey, I can get, and probably trying to get more. And so they, so they had to defend their own, and they had to, put up a front of like, but then when you had to like show them the hole, like, I have a hole in my sock, dude. Like I and then it's like, oh, it's like, okay, here you go. And you're like, really? Come on, man. And so it's not your sock drawer. But me and Greg, we're like, I love that guy, Solon native. And so he's, we all have jobs, right? So we can joke and kid about that. And I'll, every time, every now and then I'll throw that back at him, but it's just that, that's just an example that through this journey, like, there are always going to be hurdles. And granted, like a pair of socks, that's not a hurdle, but if you, it's one of those things where like that could easily just like, if you're having a bad day and it's culminating of things of, maybe, getting demoted on, on the depth chart, getting hurt, being injured, that might just be the thing. You know what? I'm done. I've had it, and I shared, there's twice where I wanted to quit, and that's, and thank the good Lord. Yeah. He put the right people in my life, and my brother being one of them, who drove to Des Moines, or drove from Des Moines. He lived in Des Moines, came and rescued me. Like I was done. And he came, and cause my car wasn't working. And so he came to Iowa City and picked me up and just got me out for a couple of days. And that's, and all right, back on the horse, let's, and things went, things got better, just one day at a time.
Man, and this is after, I want to say, your appendix nearly blew. I mean, you went through so much, we're kind of skimming over, but that was horrifying.
Yeah. That was my freshman, freshman year of football. My second year, so I, we'll catch up, so my freshman year, that's senior year playing baseball. We play baseball in the summer. And this is something that, you have your East Coast like blindness. I have this Midwest blindness. I thought everyone played baseball in the summer. Like, you go to school, like, what? You play baseball and softball in the summer? Like, yeah, no, we played during the school year. Like, oh, didn't know there was spring baseball. And so I'm playing baseball, one of my favorite sports. Run into my second baseman, I break my collarbone. And at this point, I'm like, oh my Lord, I am done. Like, there's no way they're going to take me. And at this point, they invited me to walk on. I of course took it because it was the only offer of anything. And so I called Brett Bielema, Coach Bielema, who's the linebacker coach, and he was like, hey, why don't you gray shirt? Why don't you take 9 hours? You're not a full-time student, and then you join us in the spring. So I did that. And the collarbone never healed right. And so then the following year, so my second year on campus, I joined the team. And then that's when Coach Ferentz came in. Hayden Fry retired, and Coach Ferentz came in, and we basically came in the same time. And I'm working my way up the depth chart, and I ended up hurting my collarbone again, like 2 weeks before playing Nebraska opening week. And I was like on the depth chart, like I was making some good ground and getting some respect, and might have been traveling, might have been playing, I don't know. And then hurt my collarbone. All right, a little bump in the road. I come back about 3-4 weeks later. It's, it feels okay. I start playing. Well, then about week 3, week 4, appendicitis hits me. Emergency surgery. Pretty much season's over. They're like, hey, let's fix your collarbone. So then a month later, I get my collarbone fixed. So second year on campus, I have 2 surgeries, and so that was 2 years without playing football. And remind you, I'm still a linebacker.
Right.
So we're deep. No one has could predict this one. So I look kind of like a walk-on casualty, like, oh man, this kid's just never going to catch a break. And then things started rolling. So it worked out pretty good, with special teams, and that's, to all you walk-ons, special teams. That's how you make your mark. And you have to be excited for that. Like, dude, every kickoff, like I went down with man on a mission.
Yeah.
It was, no one's blocking me.
That's what's nuts,
awesome.
though, because you were putting up these insane numbers in the weight room, right? Chris Doyle's calling you Roy Hobbs because you're like the natural. They're all blown away by what you're doing behind the scenes, yet it's not translating. You're not a very good linebacker. It's just the read and react thing. The position wasn't for you. And, in this book, I was always kind of, blown away at how all the tight end greats were kind of, you don't like dream of being a tight end as a kid, unless you're like Rob Gronkowski and you dream of being Jeremy Shockey, but you've got like this gravitational pull to the position. Like the tight end position kind of chooses you. You don't choose it. And that was the case for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, well said, Tyler. And what's awesome about, I think your book is such a great segue into what the tight end position is now. Like, it wasn't flashy, it wasn't sexy, it wasn't marketable, it wasn't badass. Like, it was just like, you're a glorified offensive lineman, right? And so the transition of the position, which you capture awesome with these unbelievable dudes. And I'll take this moment, like I know there's going to be some people out there like, Dallas, how does he fit? Like, believe me, I look at the same, I see my name with those guys. I think the same thing. So I get it. But this dude, Tyler, saw something different. So I'm not going to argue with him. It's like, all right, your book, your choice, your funeral. But what's awesome about it is you hit it right. Like, so many guys. And now that, I'm watching, I'm getting to know these guys at Iowa and becoming friends with them, and watching these kids come in as freshmen. Like, every one of these dudes are like just those 6'4", 6'5", skinny, 220. And it's the same thing. It's like, okay, we'll put a plate of food in front of him and see does he gain weight? If so, he's becoming a tackle. If not, he's going to stay a tight end, so or maybe he's a receiver, maybe he just doesn't gain any weight, and maybe we put him out wide, or, maybe he's a linebacker, so it's still like there's so much about the position that's so hard, so many intangibles that you don't really know until a kid is on campus. I mean, you gotta get thrown in the fire, right? Like, you gotta get thrown on the fire. Like, when you put your hand on the ground, you got a freaking beast across from you. Do you pee your pants, or do you get fired up? Like, what's going on? We got to find that out, and so all that dictates who you're going to be, what you're going to be, and how do you face that? And it's tough. It's it's such a hard position, and that's why I love that you capture those intangibles within your stories of all these great dudes.
Man, I appreciate it. And you put it so well. I'm paraphrasing, thinking back to the book, but I think you said, well, like the linemen don't like us because we're stepping on their toes, and the receivers don't like us because we're stealing targets from them. We're kind of like somebody without a home country here, without a home, and it kind of makes you work harder in a lot of ways. And Tony Gonzalez kind of said the same thing. It's like it just forces you to lock in and grind in a way and think in a way nobody else on the field is. Like, when did you realize, because you mentioned it earlier, it took you a while to come around to this whole tight end thing. When Kirk Ferentz and the coaches bring it to you, you were a little stubborn at first. You wanted to be a linebacker, right? But eventually you realized this is for me.
That's a man position, right? It was awesome because that summer my roommate was Kyle McCann, who was our starting quarterback and one of my best friends, and so it was awesome. And that kid's a gym rat. He was he came in as a freshman, played basketball and football for Iowa, and then he focused on football, and he's a gym rat. Like, so it was awesome for him to be like, hey, let's go run some routes. Hey, and so it was like, yeah, let's go. And so we were out there, and I can go back like it was yesterday. And Tyler, it's probably one of my favoriteest part of football, of just being out there, him and I, and him breaking down, because usually you're like, when you learn the offense, it's a team setting, it's crazy, yada yada yada, or you're in the film room and you're with the coach, and it's just like, getting taught to you, and and you got to visualize and all that. And this was such a hands-on experience of like Kyle, just like, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and so like I think that's where it started with me, and like I mean, you can carry over like Peyton and I, of just like understanding, like, and Peyton obviously is he's even on another level of like, just like, you need to be on my level, like you need to be you need to be at the spot. Like that was like how we rolled. And so like, and that's how I rolled, where I'm like, that, like, you tell me where you need me to be, and I'm going to get there, and I'm going to catch that freaking ball, and we're going to go do something. And so, but it started with Kyle and I, of just like understanding like, hey, you're going to be 10 yards because atop of you, there's going to be a receiver coming in. So we're going to try to attract that safety, or we're going to try to pull that linebacker. And so I'm learning, and I'm like, also like, I just came from the dark side. I just came from the defensive side. So now I'm like putting 2 and 2. I'm like, wait a minute. It's like when we're playing cover 3 and we got to buzz to the flat. And so, okay, so that's the defender I'm trying to influence. And so like, it all just kind of started marrying, and it all started kind of making, and so, and then just like going up and catching that freaking ball. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps, man. I just like, and turning up and doing something like that. Like, oh, it's like talking. I think it's like when you lay eyes on that girl that becomes like I fell in love, at one glance. That was like, I put my hand on the ground and I fell in love.
Loveless too. I mean, that's how a lot of folks, obviously, they think of Dallas Clark. They picture you out there, bare hands, the way God intended, playing the sport. It was so cool though to talk to Peyton Manning for this too. This is what Peyton said down those lines. I mean, just that accountability factor. So everything that led you to the Indianapolis Colts in terms of being exactly where you need to be, when you need to be there, just busting your ass in every way, getting your face literally beat into the turf by those upperclassmen.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't take a second for granted. Peyton said, quote, Dallas was wired the same way. I'm one of those guys. If I missed a throw, I'd say, let's get another one. If Dallas dropped a pass or he and I were just off, we'd get another one. The receiver has to run another route. That's 15 yards. He was like, absolutely. Why would we move? This is you guys in training, obviously throwing the ball in some routes. Why would we move on to the next one before we have this one right? The fact that he loved to work, that's when I knew he was going to be part of our offense. He asked questions. What are you looking for on this defense? He was a football rat, a junkie. Even when he was a first-round pick with the Colts, it wasn't like he said, I made it. He kept working like he was still a walk-on. I mean, that's why you were so perfect for that offense. And I mean, this is a high-tech offense. All this stuff is new, right? The way that worked with Peyton and operating at such a fast clip, all these audibles, a lot of junk said at the line of scrimmage, all of this, you were the one to kind of get back why you're in the book, why you are an all-time great. I mean, you helped take a really, really good offense and make it historic. I mean, Peyton said himself, like, Dallas is out there. Well, you're in the slot. If there's a DB on you, let's call a running play that direction because you're going to drive them into the dirt. If there's a linebacker on them, set them on a route. Like, all of a sudden, the offense kind of opened up, and the Colts were unstoppable.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll sign off on that. I mean, it's that's a good story. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, there's a lot of caveats to what you said. I mean, appreciate the kind words, but what the focus needs to really like expand out to the dudes that were in that huddle. I mean, let me remind you, if you are not, if you didn't grow up in the the early mid 2000s of NFL football and Colts football, I mean, we had Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison. Like, let's start there. Like, that dude, like, think about whatever job you have, and then think about like the best person to ever do your job and to watch them work every day. And then tell me that you don't get better. And then you have Reggie Wayne, who is like the best, one-ish, he's a one receiver who's just so happens to be in the shadow of Marvin Harrison, and to see that dynamic of how they handle, and of course Peyton is, I mean, what a miserable, great problem to have, like all these dudes that want the rock, and then we got Edgerrin James in the backfield, who's Hall of Famer. Reggie Wayne's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer in my book. Just one of my favorite friends and teammates. Saturday, so holding it down the offensive line. And then they get this chump from Iowa, and and I just kind of shut up, and I'm just like, dude, you guys are fun. Like, it's like, let's go, and so it just elevated my game of kind of my problem of wanting to be perfect and needing to be perfect, and so it just fit with that, like, and all those dudes are competitors. Like, it is awesome. Like, we all wanted to win. It wasn't, this is before social media, and so like no one was really into like marketing themselves. Like, we just wanted to freaking win. It wasn't about like getting doing all that stuff, extracurricular stuff. And I mean, it was about the ball, and so to go into war with those guys every freaking Sunday, I mean, come on now. Amazing.
God, I mean, it 2 Super Bowl runs that you can kind of look back at here too. We got the Super Bowl this Sunday. I mean, do those memories resurface as we close in on the Super Bowl each year? I mean, start there in 06, where I think it was Brandon Stokely was battling injuries, right? So you kind of become that slot weapon, and holy heck, that playoff run. Go back if you have a chance, everybody listening, and just pull up that AFC Championship game against New England, and the plays that Dallas made in that game. You became a focal point.
And you can't. I mean, it's like, and there's actually some dum-dums out there that that actually believe that the NFL is scripted. That's the world we live in. Like, there's just some dumb people out there, right? So all of y'all that believe that bull crap, you're dumb. All right, so let's just get that straight. So I mean, because you couldn't, again, like, stop entangling like just unbelievable scripted events. For example, us facing our nemesis, New England. Like, I mean, talk about, I mean, the nemesis, I mean, we're talking Bulls, Pistons, I mean, it's just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, here we are. And here we are down 21-6, 21-3. I can't remember what it was. It was bad. And it was 21-3. And And, I mean, you look at that and then you see the finish and you're like, yeah, that looks scripted because it was a badass game. That's why, like fast forward to this year. Are you kidding me? The Rams going to Detroit. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. And that's what just like makes this game so freaking awesome. And we get those special moments and we get to witness that type of stuff and those stories of hearing these guys overcome so much and ridicule and just telling you're not good enough, and then you go somewhere else and revive your career. I mean, that is beautiful. Like let's appreciate, let's celebrate those instead of like dragging it down about saying, oh, it's this and that. I'm like, good Lord, like just again, let's just focus on the good here. And so to be a part of that run was, and to face our nemesis, like that made it extra special. And and sorry to waste time on the conspiracy theory, but I just had this conversation with a buddy here. They brought it up, and I'm just like I'm like, gosh, there's people that believe that? Like, oh my God. I never got
Taylor Swift's a plant. You didn't know that?
There you go. There's right. I mean, it's like, can two kids not just fall in love? Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, can that not just happen? Like,
yeah.
I mean, here, spoiler alert. Is there like, do you look to gain something when you date someone? Yeah, absolutely. You want that person to make you better. And if that person just so happens to be an unbelievable singer and an enterprise in herself, like, it's not her fault. Like, okay, like, let's make each other better. Go do something good. Like, love it. So
right, we can't just take a deep breath and enjoy what we're seeing.
No,
can't do that.
Can't do that. I mean, there's got to be something. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sorry when she walks into the room or he walks in the room, people react. Do they expect that? Do they demand that? Do they pay people? No, that's just how people generally react. So you can't blame them for supporting each other, loving each other, and being there for each other. Like, how else is it supposed to look? There's no different than all the other wives and girlfriends that are in the stands. Like, what yes, they don't, break the record for winning, the most Grammys. So, maybe she, her day job is a little different, So
I know. I guess she's supposed to be a worse musician. That's her crime.
Right.
Be less talented and less popular.
Yeah. I just love that she shows up. I love that she, like, she is genuinely, like, you can see, like, she's genuinely enjoying it. Like,
yeah,
I would rather see that than, oh, that's my baby. It's like, freaking A. Like, I think she could go out there and catch some. I mean, I think she'd make someone miss. I mean, it's awesome. It is awesome.
I'll admit, like, when it first went down, I was skeptical. But it's not toward Taylor Swift. It's toward like the NFL. I'm just skeptical, borderline cynical with a lot of the things the league does. So I'm like, oh, of course they love having Taylor Swift on TV because they got to work on that woman interest, right? We see a lot of pink ribbons and pink apparel, and I'm always kind of rolling my eyes. But at this point, it's free. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Well, and here's the thing: it's like, it's just like it's the reason why the game is where it's gone. And I think even Peyton's Places, like, I've seen a couple of those episodes where, like, he's talked about, like, some pivotal points in the game that or through the history of the game that have helped make it what it is. And it's, some of it is strategically marketing and planning. This one is just like, this is like the $5 pocket, $5 in your pocket after doing laundry. Like, this is this was not planned. This was just like, holy shit, awesome.
Yeah.
Win for us. Oh, by the way, that $5 is like probably $5 billion. But either way, it's awesome. And it's the same. I mean, you go back to, the same conversation of fantasy football. like, or, that's just kind of the first thing that comes to mind of like, that's helped take the game to a whole nother level. And this, we'll be able to look back and go, gosh, remember the impact Taylor Swift, and I hope they have a long, happy, whatever is meant to be life that they're supposed to live. And I guarantee you, we're not going to look back and go, huh, that backfired on the other. Yeah, they tried to set that up. I was like, no, good God. Do you think they're not that smart. They can't do that. Like that's called love, folks.
Exactly. I mean, I sat down with Jonathan Owens for a story a few weeks ago in Green Bay, and during COVID, he got on a dating app. This is a safety for the Green Bay Packers. Was with the Texans before that.
Yeah.
Kind of a been a borderline roster guy through his career. He got on one of the dating apps and met a young woman who had a lot of followers. He's like, wow, she's pretty famous and she seems to be in gymnastics. He had no clue who Simone Biles was. None. Like, cross his heart. They start dating. So it's during COVID, so they're just hanging out at his house.
Yeah.
All the time. They can't really go out anywhere, and genuinely fell in love. They didn't really talk about the Olympics at all. Didn't talk about the NFL at all. They just got to know each other as human beings and gained a genuine connection. I'm like, wow, that seems like a lost art. I'll say probably a lot of athletes and a lot of celebrities, things are kind of orchestrated to some degree. But we tend to forget that real love is possible. Like it is a thing. So it's something worth celebrating.
And it's not a stretch. Like, they both have professions where they entertain, so they get about living under a mic, so
yeah,
it's not crazy. It
takes a level of drive like we're talking about here. It takes a lot of sweat to get to where you get to. I mean,
yep.
Both Kelsey and Taylor Swift. So
yeah, it's and here we are, like two schmucks talking about, and
I
that's
know. I'm so mad.
Like,
I didn't really want to talk about Taylor Swift all week. What'd you do to me, Dallas? Come on.
I left the door open because I'll talk about it, because I have no shame, because I've gotten to know Travis here with the tight end U, and we have an admiration for one another, and I love the dude, and so I am always going to stick up for him and make sure that people in my circle that I talk to, the 4 people that like, hey, this is real. Like, this, like, don't, like, just relax. All right. Stop putting freaking gasoline on the fires out there that are just like wanting this to be something bigger. It's like, no, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. So can you like shed a little light? What's Travis really like? And obviously, George Kittle. Well, I mean, he idolized you. He was watching you as a kid in the stands, and I imagine those are relationships that have kind of developed through tight end U, through just normal interactions over the years.
Well, and that's the beauty. I mean, that tight end U of being, asked to come there. It's kind of funny when they asked me. I'm like, gosh, these guys are freaking beasts. Like, what am I gonna be able to share there? And so I went the first year and quickly realized, like I walked into the room and you're like, holy shit. I know exactly where they're at right now. I know exactly, and I'm like their future self, like, I'm like, okay, I do have some value here, and so it was just awesome talking to them where they're at, what they're struggling with, what's, injuries. Okay, injuries. Here's my Rolodex of how you overcome. Okay. Family problems, money. Here we go. This is the lessons I've, and again, this is all pre, oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? I tell them up front, I don't have the answers, but I do have experiences. I'm going to tell you my suggestion for this. I'm not freaking, the magic 8 ball here, but so it's awesome. And so you get to know these cats and just great guys, and all those guys have a George and Trav have a knack, have that caveat to their game that just is you know, like, ooh, just like, it's just wicked, you know, it's just kind of that, like, you're not going to coach that into someone else. That was God given. And then you entangle that ability with the style offense, their quarterbacks. Watch out. Now you're cooking with oil. And so, so yeah, so they're just, and it's fun to see where they're at and to stay in touch with them and to be their cheerleader from afar. And you know, I'll see some stuff, and you know, and I'll kind of be that, you know, I don't know what I am, like crazy uncle or something, I don't know, but just like, hey, like, hey, good footwork on your blocks today. Hey, great routes. You know, hey, I love that third quarter, you know, like just reaffirm, like, you know, let's focus on the craft. Like, let's focus on the game. Let's focus, you know, like just help them, you know, reiterate, because it's a long season, man. And everyone thinks that, like, oh, these guys haven't made, they have this. It's like, it's not a true facade, but it's tough. It's tough. I mean, everyone looks at these guys, oh, they haven't made, and no, they don't. Like, they go home and they're beat and they're tired and they're hurting, and it actually feels good to hear, like, attaboy, you know, from a text like that stuff goes a long ways, and it feels good, and that's what I try to provide for those guys. I'm always trying to, you know, just trying to make them smile and know that freaking week 13 is hell, and it's like, oh shit, we got five more weeks. Oh, all right, let's go. All right, put the pads on. Here we go. You know, I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
Whether you know it or not, too, I'm thinking back to the conversation with George, you know, when he was at Iowa, and he went through it, but his story is so different from yours, too. For one, you know, he's drinking loaded Coronas out at the bar. You know, he's ordering a Corona, taking a few sips, pouring the tequila in, and throwing back a handful of those. Like to party. Dallas couldn't afford to party because he gets caught. That's it. You're going back to Livermore, never to be seen again.
never to be heard from again. I'm a woulda, shoulda, coulda, but didn't story. Don't be that story.
It was something to, like, hang out with Jeremy Shockey at Miami Beach and then connect with Dallas Clark. Talk about polar opposite college experiences.
Good.
Jeremy's got the co-eds throwing themselves at him.
But here's the deal. Like,
I don't want to sell you short, though. Hey, maybe they weren't. I'm sorry. You know.
No. You nailed it. Like, I mean, you want to talk about intimidation? The Ped Mall at the university. I mean, there's a reason why we're like top 3 party schools in the country. Like, I mean, the Ped Mall has defeated more people. Like, I tell the freshmen, I'm like, hey, Ped Mall undefeated. All right, don't think you're gonna go and you have this plan that you can party and study. It don't work. All right, so like the Ped Mall is undefeated, and so it scared the hell out of me from day one. I still remember walking into the field house, and it's double floors. Like, you can look down onto the dance floor like a freaking scene from Bad Boys. And I remember looking over, they're like, holy shit, we're not in Livermore anymore. Like, and like, no one wearing anything. And I'm like, what? Where am I? What? Oh, okay. Back to Slater Hall. Let's go. I can't. This is not good. But there you lean on, like, you know, my 2 older brothers. We didn't drink. Like, we didn't drink in college. We didn't drink in high school. And talk about a small town in Iowa, and you don't drink. You want to talk about being a freaking unicorn and getting made fun of and like thinking like, ooh, who are you? You're better than us. Like, you can't do what everyone is doing because that's what you do in small town Iowa. Like, that took a lot. And thank God for my brothers. I don't know if our dad like threatened them with like death or something. I don't know, but Dan he blazed the trail, man. Derek followed the trail. It was easy for me to go to those parties in high school. Like, here's a beer. No, I don't drink. What? You know, and then go to college, go to the field house, go to all those parties. Nope. No, I'll go. And then when you all get drunk and annoying, then I leave, you know? And so, you know, that was kind of the gig. And so thank God for that, you know, cause who knows, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have enjoyed it a little more. Maybe I could have done that stuff. I don't know, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad and so, but yeah, there's so many things, man, that could have just like, just
Yeah,
then it's boosh, done. So
exactly. I mean, you in your head, the margin for error was minuscule. Like you couldn't afford to.
but you read Shocky's chapter and you're just like, that's my hero. Like that is
Right, right.
but then and I've gotten to meet him a couple times back in the day, back in, playing against each other, but it was like, but you're like, that's him. Like that's, and it's not right, wrong, or different. It's just like, that's you, dude. Like that is
Yeah,
you. And I love that he owns it. I love that he's, and it's kind of like take it or leave it type. It's like, I can respect that. Like, do you, dude? And he crushed it. He brought. I mean, that's what made his game such a different. I mean, it looked different. He was like pre-Gronk, where it's just like, God, this guy has a tenacity about him that's just like, ooh, that's awesome. Like that's different.
yeah. I mean, he's got mom throwing him a box of condoms at age 14, and he's knocking people out at bars into his senior year of high school. Broke the guy's orbital bone, and the guy he beat up when he went to get it checked out. Who's the nurse that like checks him in at the place? It's Shocky's mom, so she's like covering up her name tag. But it's just, your point is so spot on. It like even you and George Kittle had such different experiences at Iowa. Aside from all the drinking, George, guy, he spent 3 years kind of finding himself, not taking football as seriously as he should. He had a conversation with you that he said went a long way. Like when you came back to campus, Pat Anger, linebacker, basically told him what turned his collegiate career around was he stopped fighting, cut back on the drinking, took football more seriously. Kittle wasn't really fighting anybody, but maybe don't drink during the week. And
Yeah.
but even like you looked up like Chris Doyle and the strength staff as like fatherly figures, and like this was family. George and him kind of clashed. He's more of a fun-loving, free spirit. And also he's lactose intolerant. So, man, all those protein shakes aren't exactly doing wonders for his insides as he's beefing up to 255. It wasn't as good of a mix there, right? But he still came out of it, George Kittle.
Yeah. And that's where, and that's where, and that's kind of the craziness about it, where it's not, your path. Like you see it as your path, and you kind of have that just natural reaction of like, well, why aren't we all going down this path? Like, and that's where you learn, that's what makes you unique and special, and it's those choices, and it's, and then you add those up into, why it clicked for me and Coach Doyle, and why it doesn't click with Coach Doyle and those guys, and so it was just kind of interesting to see that through, and even some of my dear friends like struggled with it, but I will stand firm, and I mean I will shout from the tallest. I go, Chris Doyle made me who I am. Like, I mean, that guy, like as a football player, as a man, the stuff that happened to him is absolutely ridiculous, and it's sad how his career is absolutely ruined because of that stuff, and it's too bad. And the investigation found nothing, and and it's just too bad. But that you have a choice. Like, you come in the University of Iowa, and when you sign up for that, you sign up for being held accountable. You sign up for giving everything you have, because the university is giving you an education and so much more, a platform. They're giving you a platform. The platform, back in the day, it was like, oh, we give you a free education. Well, now it's like, now kids are getting cars, so that whole idea has changed, right? And so the university is giving you a platform. Hell, now they're giving you money, and so but in our era, obviously, you take if you take, $5 from somebody, your eligibility is gone, right? And so they literally gave you an education, and so that was the agreement. And I struggle with, like, of the splitting of hairs here, because what made us great at Iowa was we bought in to something, an idea that is so true in this game of football. Because if you think you're 11 dudes doing something by yourself and you can just check in and play this team game and then check out, success will not happen. It's never been proven. Like, it's never happened. Like, why do you think the great teams that have more talent don't make it to the Super Bowl? It's the team that has the best chemistry. It's the team that is just firing all cylinders, that are playing for each other. Like, you go into the Kansas City locker room, like, there is a love and respect in there. You go in the San Francisco 49ers, there's a little something different that's gotten those two teams where they're at. And I'm a firm believer. And so all that starts back in April when we start doing OTAs and we start, it's just that grind. It's that grind. It's the weeding out. We're trying to figure out, are you in this? Are you in it? Because in about 3 or 4 months, shit's going to get real. And we need to find out if you're in it. And you need to put your personal feelings aside, because it's not about you right now. It's about the team. And I promise you, if you buy into this team, you will have a band of brothers that you will meet 20 years later at a Big Ten championship reunion, and you'll be able to talk to that dude that you haven't seen for 20 years, that teammate, and you will hug them up, and you will be genuinely like, oh my, and you will talk about the good old days, and you'll talk about how old your kids are and chasing them. And I promise you, that's what you get from this experience. All right. And were you all conference? No. Did your career work out the way? No. But guess what? You're part of this team, and you're no different than the freaking all conference, all American player that was on our team. You mean just as much, because you're freaking out there. You're the best scout player. You gave us a great look. You showed up every day. I remember you freaking grinding it on Tony Burrier's my dude. Tony Burrier never, he played special teams, but that dude, he was about 220, 225, ran like a freaking deer, and it pissed me off because I took everything I had to beat him in sprints. I am not who I am without Tony Burrier. And could Tony Burrier have this oh, I got picked on, oh, this, absolutely. But what does Tony Burrier get out of it? He gets a group of guys that love him, that we have a connection that, it's, I don't know. I'm going on a little tirade.
But you live both ends of the spectrum, Dallas. I mean, that's why you are most qualified to make that point. I mean, you lived that end of the spectrum. You're surviving day to day on pennies and nickels and dimes, meal to meal, hoping that maybe you play on the field that you're mowing and tearing up the siding, and then there you are in the rain in Miami, winning a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, right? And nearly winning another one. It's it probably gives you. I mean, you can kind of see inside of a locker room. You can probably relate to everybody with those experiences.
Yeah, and Tyler, I think that's where, where it's that. It's that respect, I think respect in this game is so it goes a long ways. It's just man, to get respected in any level, in any sport, ultimately, I think if you're an athlete, I think that should be goal number one, is to earn the respect from your coach, and then earn the respect from your maybe earn your respect from your teammates and then your coach. Maybe teammates should be probably first. But like, you got like earning the respect. And then if you get a group of gals and guys, whatever sport you're playing, like if you get a group with that philosophy and that's our goal, then let's go to work. Like I guarantee you, whatever our goals are, we're going to have a hell of a fun time trying to achieve them, because we have already put ourselves in the back seat. Like it's about you. I want to play for you. And I think that's, that's the walk-on mentality. I mean, I think the first thing as a walk-on, and that's why I would never change it. Like you can't walk in day one and go, I'm here. Step aside. We're all good. Like your worries should be over. I mean, nope, not the case at all. And so it's fun to like walk in there, go to work, and then just have someone go, "Hey, what's your name? Where are you from? Dude, who'd you like? What? Why did you not get? Good Lord, what did you like? And then like deep down inside, you're like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. That was Joe Slattery, your starting corner. Like he just asked me, like why, like I got his attention. Like I am doing something. And if that's not your drive of being a team player, get out. We don't got time. Go golf. Go wrestle, because there it's all, you're the only one to get all the glory and get all the blame. Like that's like, it's all you, it's on you. But this team sport, we don't got time for it. It does not fit. And you are just bringing, I don't care how good you are bringing us down. And all you athletes out there, if you're that person, change. Don't be that person. You'll get way more out of this game, any sport you're playing, if you put the team first. Oh, it comes back tenfold.
Even through the boom of NIL and the contracts that you see in the NFL and the marketing and social media, and as big financially as the sport gets at every level, that never changes. I'd imagine you could see it in that Chiefs locker room, right? They have every reason to kind of check out on the season, losing to the Raiders Christmas Day. It looks like all's lost, but there's something beyond even Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes that can bond a team through that kind of adversity, because adversity is a guarantee for every team in the NFL.
We lost to Jacksonville the year we won the Super Bowl. We lost in Jacksonville week 12, and Fred Taylor would still be running the ball if they didn't invent the goal line. Like he ran over our ass. Like couldn't stop him. Like it was, I can still see him running like, oh, thank God they put the goal line up. Otherwise, no one's catching him. Like it was a disaster. And the best thing that happened to us as a team, because there was a moment where we had to have a little gut check. And that gut check realigned our focus, realigned everyone. All right, what do I got to do different? What do I got to, so we all did that. And then boom, 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 right? Same thing with the Chiefs. I mean, think about dude, I live in Iowa, so we get to pick who our, so there's a lot of Chiefs fans around here because, we get to pick who our favorite team is because we don't have one. And so it's funny, like all the Chiefs fans, how they have, like, they're out swimming in the ocean, jumped off the boat because, we're, and now they're quickly, hey, wait, let me have my seat back, right? Like screw you. Like either you're in or out, but like they lost hope, right? And I want to know, guarantee could go into that locker room and the same type of, I don't know, something just happened in that locker room where those guys like got the blinders on, finite focus, back to work, back to like, hey, let's be us, let's, whatever it is. But there's something that happened. And look at, and it's the chemistry. It's team. That's so important.
Jacksonville ran for 375 yards and 4 touchdowns that game, all on the ground. So it wasn't just Taylor. Maurice Jones-Drew had 166.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor had 131. Alvin Pierman had 71 yards.
Dude,
yeah, you guys got your asses beat that day. Holy cow, 44-17.
Was Maurice Jones was one of those. Talk about the old 1-2 punch. Those guys were amazing. But one of them, it was like the second play of the game, broke off one for like 80, and it was like, whoa! I hope he stretched, because I don't think he realized he was. That was like, oh boy, this is gonna be a long day, and it was a long plane ride home from Jack. Man,
because Tony Dungy isn't exactly standing in front of the team and mother effing guys up and down after a game like that. It does take something a little more intrinsic in every single player to kind of bounce back from that game, right?
And you know what? You find out if you're in it for the right reason. Because if that type of shit doesn't piss you off, then we got problems. If we had a group of guys that are like, oh, I did my job. Oh, I don't need to do anything different. I'm good. Like if we had all, we would have sank like the Titanic, where we all have pride and we all looked at it with the right perspective, and like we got a challenge here, boys. Let's get back at it. And man, it was awesome. It was, talk about a chip on the shoulder. That defense, and then we had Kansas City first round, who Larry Johnson was running over his grandma. Like he was running over everyone. Like it was, they were a force, and held him like 72 yards or 73 or something.
32 yards on 13 carries, Larry Johnson, that game in the wild card.
It was under 100 as a team.
Oh yeah, well under. Let's see, they only had 44 rushing yards as a team.
Yeah, it was like, guess who's
Larry
back?
Johnson ran for almost 1,800 that year too.
Yeah, it was like that's a phenomenal example of like, all right, here's your challenge, and you have a group of men going, no, that we're better. Like, and they took it personally. It was awesome. Yeah. And now you talk about like, when you take that field, you're unstoppable. Like before even kickoff, like and that is those two teams right now, 49ers and Chiefs, they both walk onto that field. Ain't no one stopping us. And that's what's so awesome. Oh,
that's what makes football great, man. And the highs and the lows. I'd imagine you think back to the Super Bowl loss as well, to bring it all down, right? To just zap your joy here.
Look at the time. Wow. This is
we'll cut it off right there, right? Yeah.
No, you're right. There's no greater win in football, and there's no greater loss in football. Oh man. But you know what? It's tough to say that the better team won, but apparently they did. They made the plays, man. They made the plays.
Well, Jim Monis, who I mentioned earlier to you, my co-host there on the pod, he was a scout with the Saints then. So you can talk all the junk you want right now and say they didn't deserve it. You were the better team. That was your career season.
But then all he has to do is.
That's right. Point to the ring.
And then that shuts it all. And it's like, okay, exit stage right, and good night.
Dallas, you're the man. This was phenomenal. Can't thank you enough for reliving some stories and sharing some new ones. That was enlightening. Always.
Well, dude, I can talk football, but I can talk tight ends, and we didn't even talk about Laporta, and Hawkinson and all our Iowa tight ends who are doing freaking amazing things. And we got another one, Luke Lachey, coming out. Eric All, I mean, we're claiming him. I mean, he did his damage with Michigan, but then he transferred to Iowa and had a terrible ACL, but he's going to come back bigger, stronger, and he's going to freaking tear it up next year. And so it's fun, man. This like, and that's where I'll go. I'll close it with this, with your book. Like, it is. Thank you for putting a spotlight on the position, because it's it is the best position. It's so much fun, and it's a true joy to be able to, to be a part of that fraternity, and to have a small impact, and to be able to just kind of, see the progress and see where the position's going, and seeing these dudes do things that, like, what? I mean, just stupid numbers and stupid highlight reel. It's awesome. So thank you so much for putting a much needed spotlight on the position, and putting it front and center right behind the quarterbacks. Because as we all know, the quarterbacks, they got, if they don't get that spotlight, they get a little sensitive, and we can't have sensitive quarterbacks out there. They got to get us the rock. So we got to keep them happy.
That's why you were pulling pranks with Peyton Manning, right? You teamed up with him in training camp, so the friendship could go beyond those. Some ruthless stories there. I love those.
So good. Another time.
Yes. We need to carve out another hour and a half for that one. But no, I'm the grateful one, Dallas. I mean, the fact that you and Tony Gonzalez and Jeremy Shockey, Gronk, Ditka, Jackie Smith, Ozzie Newsome, all these guys just carved out time in their busy lives to relive the past and look to the future. I'm the lucky one. So, and thanks to everybody who's taken the time to read the book.
You're awesome, man. Thank you so much, and you be safe, and we'll be in touch, and let's do this again soon.
You are welcome back anytime, man. When you're not, saving the world and doing these triathlons, and I don't even know what Dallas Clark's up to these days, but anytime.
Catch me in a town near you, maybe. I don't know. We'll see, man. You take care, brother.
Thank you.